Our next speaker is Michelle Reugebrink. She is a mindfulness and resiliency program manager and a master coach. She has worked for the federal government for 36 years, and 16 of those years on wildland fire engines, hand crews, and hotshot crews. And she still holds fire quals, which is huge. Michelle integrates her experiences on the ground into career leadership roles and programming. She is one fierce female. Michelle, are you ready? She's going to talk about lessons from the fire, mindfulness, and the workplace and beyond. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you. Hello. Put this stuff down for a minute. First, I just want to say it's an honor to be here in your presence and to feel all of you. And I'm going to just invite us just for a moment, just to check in, and maybe it's selfish portal equilibrium for Michelle right now. And just invite us, if you would like, to close your eyes or cast a gaze in front of you. And just noticing, where is our breath? If it's in our abdomen, our chest, our throat. Just breathing, not having to change it. Invitation to notice if our shoulders are up to our ears. Drop them down. If our jaw is clenched, to loosen up. Anywhere else in our body we may be holding tension. The invitation is just to let go. Taking in a deep breath and slowly letting it out. And just inviting you to open your eyes when ready. Thank you. Don't you love portable equilibrium? Now, I kind of move around a lot, but I'll try to sit and behave myself too. And I brought my monkey. We'll talk about him in a minute. Okay. So the past couple years has been a wild ride, hasn't it? We all have unique journeys, stories, and I feel privileged to share some of mine with you here today. Fire is an important part of my story. And so I'll be using some fire imagery, and I'll share some lessons from sitting with fire as I and others have endeavored to bring mindfulness into the workplace and beyond during these crazy times. And I'll finish up with some coaching questions to sit with. So my intention is to speak from my heart as Michelle. So let's lace up our boots, grab our fire pack, and let's get ready for a hike. So at 18, I became a wildland firefighter, and I was called Michelle the Gazelle. And I was out in nature every day. I loved what I was doing. I was living the dream. And July 6th of 1994 was a turning point for me, what sometimes we refer to as going through the portal. On that day, 14 wildland firefighters perished in a burnover on Storm King Mountain just outside of Glenwood Springs, Colorado. And a friend of mine was one of them. And I was in the area of the fire. And when I was finally able to make a call home, my husband the next day, he relayed that he had gotten a call saying I was missing in action. And he was ready to come pick me up. But I was running on adrenaline. I wasn't going to go anywhere. I was still going. Little did we know, 11 months later to the day, we would have our first son. I always tell the boys, you have experienced so many fires and have flown on so many flights before you even took a breath. So what's some lessons from living with fire. The first is you have to be willing to sit in your own suffering over and over again. For years, I was a mother hen, making sure my crew made it off the hill and home for Thanksgiving dinner. That's what we always said. Because we used to get, a lot of our catastrophic fires were during that time period. Now you're around the clock, right? However, was I really, as John would say, sitting in my own fire? The gift fire has taught me is that we have to do the work on ourselves over and over again. We're never done. Just like when we get the 3 beeps for the fire dispatch. Beep, 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 vegetation fire north of Hart Lane, section 23, northeast of the southwest corner. We load up and we go. What does it look like to respond to the call in your heart? So our mindfulness practice allows us to keep greeting ourselves at the front door. Isn't that just beautiful? Just the way we are, putting our judgments to the side. And we sometimes talk a lot about being non-judgmental. We're human. We make judgments. What we can do is see them when they arise, set them to the side, and say, not today. For years, I've been holding space with many colleagues in the workforce. And what I see a lot is it's just keep responding to the fire bells and the beeps without being present. Going through the motions on autopilot. So doing this work of mindfulness allows us to greet the fire alarm, dare I call it the mindfulness bell, from a place of wisdom inside and out. So in fire, we first show up to the fire. We size it up, okay? We notice the terrain, the slope, the aspects, the fuel type, weather, and especially the wind, the speed, the direction, the consistency, the relative humidity, fire behavior, the time of day. Based on the fire characteristics, the land management objectives, and the resources available, we develop a plan of action that will include contingency plans, including medevac plans. A fire is constantly shifting and changing, so there's no such thing as a static plan. Constant change, making adjustments, developing, revising plans, improvising are all part of the game. The past couple years, right? Our lives are constantly shifting. And can we take a moment to notice that? What is our reaction? What does that really look like? What's that look like in the workplace? I'm going to glance at my notes for a moment to make sure I'm on cue here. Keeping it real. Make sure I stay in my lane. I get overly excited. So, we're excited with you. Okay, woo! Okay. So as our lives are constantly changing, think about that for the past couple years. What has the hike up to your fire looked like? Fire is such a great teacher. It's constantly changing. We need to be able to be nimble. And so many times I've had to say the word RTO, reverse tool order. Okay? RTO, reverse tool order. And it takes you down to your escape route, to your safety zone. And this is a safe, comfortable place that you can ride out the fire, okay? When things go awry. And what does that look like for us to take our seat? noticing when things have become overwhelmed, our capability. So when we take our seat, we're doing the work on ourselves over and over again, greeting our suffering while suspending any judgments that arise. And we can rise up from a place of wisdom that comes from our practice. So my youngest sister, who was 7 years younger than me, she wanted to be a firefighter like her big sister. She became one. She was supervising inmate crews in Nevada. And one day she got back from a 10-day fire assignment. She drove herself to Lake Tahoe in Northern California, where she had several alcoholic drinks, which is very common occurrence in the firefighting community. She got back in her vehicle to drive home. And at one point, she took her eyes off the road. She swerved across the center line. She had a head-on collision with a minivan filled with 6 people. The passenger in the front seat of the minivan wasn't buckled and was killed. October 1st of 2018, we watched my sister get sentenced to 16 and a half years in prison. And the family will never get their loved one back. And during this time, the day before my sister's event, I just got back from a 10-day silent retreat. Talk about getting to sit back in the fire again, huh? Again, right? Here we are, meeting it, greeting it. And I just have to give a big shout out to the Hope for Prisoners. They've been doing some amazing things. The past 2 years plus have shown us how important mental and emotional well-being are in the workplace and beyond. And I always say when we walk through the door or log onto our computer for work, our personal lives do not just stay outside the door. They follow us. So how do we greet ourselves? How do we work with forgiveness? How do we bring all 9 attributes of mindfulness in? Non-judging, patience, beginner's mind, curiosity, trust, non-striving, acceptance, letting go, gratitude, generosity. What? They're in everything. I know. So as you ask me, Michelle, what lessons from sitting with fire has led to mindfulness in the workplace and beyond? We do the work on ourselves when we embody practice, and there's a ripple effect. Sometimes it's invisible, and yet tangible. It's broadcasted in the field. Our presence is felt and heard. Even when we may not think it is the subtle wins. We say this in fire all the time. The subtle wins, unseen, however felt. On a fire that can shift things the whole new direction in an instant. On just an instant, you're like, whew. So what I personally have experienced from leading from this rooted place we call mindfulness, it's like an anchor point. So an anchor point on a fire is where we first start cutting fire line. We find a place at the rear or the heel of the fire, okay? And we dig down to bare mineral soil. And this is to ensure the fire cannot cross it, okay? I did the work on myself. I continue. And now it's a part of my everyday job. Mindfulness is everything we do, from onboarding new employees to senior leadership training. It's part of the hybrid workplaces. And it's now in every part of the workplace at all levels. Productivity, retention, less conflict, resilience. Who would not want some of that? I know, that's what I said. And we have lookouts on fires, and their role is critical to supporting the fire response. They have one eye on the fire and the people, okay, constantly. Behavior, always look out for the emergence of dangerous conditions. I've been teaching the full MBSR series for a few years now, and to date have had 30,431 employees take mindful-based stress reduction. And it's not just in our backyard. We have employees calling from across the globe. It has created so much energy that we now are having a panel discussion about having Mindful Fed that spans across multiple agencies. Mindful-based stress reduction, those that have participated in it are now wanting to sit with the fire instead of be consumed by the fire. Can we lead from the fire in our heart and in our belly? I like to say we do not manage fire. We work with natural barriers, okay? It's inherent change in weather to guide us, taking the most effective action. And if we just do it mindlessly, suppressing, controlling fires against the force of nature, sooner or later, we'll see large, nasty fires. Many of our landscapes have been screaming for fire to be reintroduced to them. So may we continue to listen what's inside of us, to meet the fire call. And here's some coaching questions to ponder. What is it you can do with the fire in your belly and heart today? What can you let go of? What can you hang on to? What does bringing mindfulness into the workplace look like for you and beyond? We're all in this together. We're not just a drop in the ocean, we're the entire ocean in one drop, right? What you stand for, what is your anchor point, your North Star? You won't find them in a book. You'll find them in your soul. Another great quote I love from Martin Luther King Jr. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to take the whole staircase, climb the whole staircase, just one step. One step. Wow. So maybe we start right where we are at right now, boots on, fire pack on. Notice if you're carrying any rocks in your pack that you can set down, maybe that aren't serving you. Yeah, I've had a few rocks put in my pack by my crew members. I figured it out. I chose to set them down. And I just want to say with deep gratitude, holding space with you all in this very moment, I brought my monkey. So he travels everywhere with me. And, it's great because when you're sitting on a plane and he goes off, I'll show you what he does. People are like, what is that? And I get to talk about energy vampires and, letting things go. Because this is what I love to do, to talk about letting go. So, and this week has been filled with teaching the 9 attributes of mindfulness to all of our new employees. So I've done a total of 18 presentations in the last couple of weeks. And most of the time I do them in the woods, with the camera set up and everybody's zooming in. But so, how many times do we have energy vampires that are just like sucking it out of you? You're just like, ugh. And you're taking care of your monkey. But after a while, when you start going, yeah, I'll put you here. Hey, I got you. And we're like, oh, this monkey's really heavy. Like, how do we let go, right? So I have a couple techniques. So when in the office setting, it was like, okay, I had a cardboard box, cut out little monkeys, ching, 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 put them in the cardboard box. People would come in and go, Michelle, can I talk? Okay, full presence. No phone, no computer, no looking at the watch. 15 minutes, let's go. Listen, hear you, taking it all in. I'd get done. Thank you so much for sharing. I reach in the box and I hand them a monkey. They go, what? Why? I hear you, but it's not for me to hold. I'm going to let you hold your monkey. So, we all carry a lot. How do we work with compassion fatigue? What does that look like in the workplace? Especially right now, right? Yeah. Okay. So another thing. And one time, be careful where you store this. I had it in my bag, and my water bottle hit it when I was walking by a very big white building in DC, and it caused a little stir. Okay. So what you can do what I do is when people are not yet. When people are calling, it's just like, ah. So my husband always knows what I'm up to, but you can just let it go. And he soars. I didn't want to go too far. But you can just, if it's tactile and it helps you, what are some ways that you work with your energy vampires when they suck it out of you? Some techniques that we can bring it back to taking care of ourselves. And what does letting go do? I always love explaining letting go another way, where in India they take a coconut and they drill a hole in it and they put a tasty treat in it. Monkey puts hand in the coconut, has a fist. Uh-oh. Monkey always, right? Or we go, I'm going to hang on my way. If we just let go, hand would slide right out. Another form of practicing let go. Or when we relinquish to sleep at night and go to sleep is another form of practicing letting go. So that was my talk on letting go. But so when we think about bringing mindfulness into the workplace, can we have a thought or a judgment of the way we think it needs to be? And what does it look like to just be with it and to lead from within? And I can tell you what's happened for myself. I guess I should sit for a little bit. Self was that people see it. All of the invitations have all been that, an invitation. It's never been mandated. It's an invitation if you'd like to sign up for mindful-based stress reduction. It's an invitation if you'd like to do a 15-minute national guided break, we call it. It's an invitation if you'd like to dial in for the 1-hour mindfulness webinar each month that's recorded and used for later playback and then turned into a podcast. Getting creative. If you would have told me years ago that I would be the mindfulness and resiliency program manager at the level I'm at, I would say, you're what? But it started from within, right where I sat. And it just went viral. I have a coin, another gadget. It says, compassion spreads like wildfire. And only 25 of these were given out. And on the back, they have the 14 firefighters. And I was one of them that was given one, and I carry it everywhere with me. What does it look like for us right where we're at? And how do we hold that? And how do we allow that compassion to spread like wildfire? I say mindfulness, it's like, you got Superman, S, Superman. I'm like M for mindfulness. It's free, you don't have to pay for it, and you carry it everywhere. That's it. Portable equilibrium. And it's such a gift. And I couldn't have think more of a better time in this world that we've never experienced in our lifetime as a whole world right now where we're at. And how we show up in each moment, every moment, another moment. It's like, oh, there I am again. It's like, what? We've had the most awesomest 2-year retreat that just keeps on going, right? And so noticing, it's like when I talk about gratitude, a lot of people always go, I always go, you can't believe this. I know this is shocking, but human beings have a negative bias. I know. I was shocked too when I heard it. That means we're more apt to latch on to what has gone wrong than what has gone well. And behaving in this way means we develop a very unbalanced, negative way of thinking. An antidote. The evidence is that gratitude is the antidote. Practicing gratitude. We're happier, we have better relationships, we're more creative. We get along better in the workplace. Now, who would not want some of that? So noticing, what are we grateful for over these past few years? Has there been some amazing lessons? And I'm just overflowing with joy here right now in this moment to see you all and your faces. And it's a gift. It's a gift. So going back to that, I heard Richie say several times, it starts within ourselves. It starts here. And a lot of people will be like, well, is that where's the big boom? Well, there it is. Right here, right now. Grounded, breathing, and it's a gift. And how does that show up for us in what we do and in our workplace? May we lead from within and make a ripple effect across the globe. And I guess we have a few minutes on the clock. So if anyone has any questions or something you would like to share. Sweet.
My dear friend and colleague lost her house in the Caldor fire.
Yep.
This was my dear sweet friend and colleague lost her friend in the Caldor fire last year, and I know that something like mindfulness and BSR would really, really help her. I'm wondering, does your community do any outreach with the community that is on the receiving end of these wildfires ravaging our beautiful homelands here? Thank you for everything you do and your courage up there right now.
Thank you. So, yes, I would say we're all in this together. We are all a receptive basin, and we all hold each other. And for example, the Paradise Fire, right, was very devastating, ravaged the whole entire community, and in big ways. And part of that was bringing in mindfulness for the community and forest therapy. As we know, our connection to nature and healing. And a lot of people will go Michelle, it's all burnt. Yeah, and we're gonna go stand in it. And we're gonna reconnect, and we're gonna watch that one blade of grass. We're gonna feel the wind. We're gonna hear that bird. We're gonna allow ourselves to connect back to it. Because that's how we restore ourselves. As we breathe in, and the earth is giving us, we breathe in, it goes right to our natural killer cells. And it's a gift. So we have started many movements now, big movements, that are working with the community in big ways. And I'd say if you want to be a part of it, there's lots of opportunity. Let's talk afterwards. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
I love your heart. I feel like I connect to what you said in so many ways. And we met at Wisdom 2.0 at the gift table really briefly, and I definitely felt like an instant connection with you because of the many things I do. I'm a San Francisco first responder. And I also held the space of the temple with at Burning Man with 800 volunteers. And so fire, what you shared is so related to all of us. And thank you. One of my dearest friends is also the Napa Fire Special Forces guy. And he had hurt his arm, dislocated it in a massive fire in Oakland. Yeah. I think what people need to know about what you bring and what people like us bring is a connection and hub of the entire community. And so what you're sharing is not just for the firefighters, the first responders, though it's what we feel every day, right? The trauma and then the healing that happens over and over again. It's what everyone is dealing with in so many different ways. I have created an organization called the Co-Caring Initiative. And we are bringing people who are caring, wanting to bring their skills into humanitarian crisis work all around the world and nationally here in our homes. And thank you for being one of those amazing hubs. All I meet are amazing people like you when I'm in the first responder community. And I want to ask you this question. As someone who is standing in this specific space of the first responders in Colorado and having built this mindfulness-based stress reduction that is so helpful to so many kinds of people, how do you hope to expand and partner not only with other first responder communities, but with everyday people?
That's such a beautiful question, and I want to acknowledge you and say thank you for what you do. And we have to wrap up, so I'm getting that. But I want to say,
that big sign, right?
there's a big yeah. And I just want to say that we are all in this together, and it doesn't just stop at one thing. It's never just one thing. We're all unified. And so whether you are a firefighter or you are working as a grocery clerk, it doesn't stop. We're all in this together. And so there's a lot of movement that's happening in the wildland fire community and beyond. And so we'll talk some more, but there's some huge things. And I just want to say thank you and end with one quote that was shared. And it said, Abba, Lot went to Abba Joseph and said to him, Abba, as far as I can say, my little office, I fast a little, I pray and meditate. I live in peace, and as far as I can, I purify my thoughts. What else can I do? Then the old man stood up, stretched his hands towards the heaven. His fingers became like 10 lamps of fire, and said to him, if you will, you can become all flame. Wisdom from the desert fathers and mothers. Thank you all very much, and may you take deep care. Thank you.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Thank you for touching everybody. Really beautiful. Thank you. And thank you, first responder and first responders and first responders, for that beautiful question and being so vulnerable. Whew. So let's just take a breath, huh? Yeah. Okay. Maybe one more. Yeah, thanks. Beautiful.